Hey everybody, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 of my favorite VR novels in no particular order. I will also have a bunch more at the end for those of you who need an entire list of new stuff to binge. First to the plate is Peerless White Emperor. This novel is unique compared to the other two since it is primarily focused on
Comedy.
In fact, this is the only novel that has literally made me cry laughing. Even after rereading this novel, it's still just as funny as what it was on the first read. Back to the story at hand, this novel is about Yi Kang and his 2 brothers. At the start, they're broke. So, in some attempts to make some money and, not die, all 3 of them join the game Conviction as aspiring professional players. I'm not going to go into too much detail on the game aspect since it isn't anything revolutionary and we all kind of understand how VR games work at this point, and also because there's something more interesting I'd like to talk about regarding this novel. And what that is that the story isn't exclusively told in the game. Unlike other novels where the real life stuff is kind of like filler garbage, in this novel there's a fine balance between the fun outside stuff and the fun inside stuff. Both are very, very, very enjoyable to read, but it's nice to see some variety there. And also, the silly stuff they do while outside the game is just as important as the stuff they do inside, so it's part of the story. And also, what they do inside the game is typically what you'd expect from people who just want to play games. They mess around, they have fun, they do a whole bunch of stupid stuff, just typically what you do if you were just playing games with your friends. And although they are aspiring professional players because they want money, they really don't care about money too much. Moving on, let's get into the second novel. Our second novel is The Legendary Moonlight Sculptor. If I had to describe it in 4 words, they would be hard work triumphs all. As you can guess, this novel's protagonist is extremely diligent. Lee Hyun, our MC, grew up in a poverty-stricken family. He worked an unthinkable amount of jobs in order to provide for his grandmother and sister. In order to get some spare change, he sells his max level account in an old MMO called Continent of Magic. Surprisingly, he actually gets a lofty sum from the sale. When everything starts looking up for him and his family, the dang loan sharks come and eat up most of the money due to the debt he inherited from his father. So, in order to provide for his family once the leftovers are through, he ends up researching the most popular and hot VR games and trains his body with martial arts in preparation for his inevitable entrance into the game. In my opinion, this novel is a story of how one man's hard work can change his situation for the better. And while that isn't always true in our world, it sure is very interesting and enjoyable to read about it in fiction. Last but not least, Emperor of Solo Play. An Jae-hyun was a legendary player and guildmaster in the game Warlord. Unfortunately, he often made enemies with other guilds due to the fact that he hated accepting defeat or being below someone else. This, in turn, caused his entire guild to betray him since they couldn't handle the pressure of their enemies. After being chased down and losing everything he worked for in Warlord, he gets hit by Truck-kun and goes back in time. This time, however, he rejects the idea of party play and guilds altogether. As a result, he determines that playing alone is the only way he can progress in the game without being betrayed and backstabbed, etc. And honestly, he's kind of right. He does better solo than pretty much everyone else in the game, including guilds. For those of you who prefer completed stories, this one is for you. And don't worry about the ending being a flop. I'm pretty sure the ending is only second to the Michael Jackson songs he references and listens to in the novel. And that, my friends, are 3 of my favorite VR novels. For those of you who have already read them, here's a whole cluster more for you to read. Overgeared, Rebirth of the Thief Who Roamed the World, Virtual World Close Combat Mage, The World Online, The Tutorials Too Hard, The Legendary Mechanic, Zhan Long, Reincarnation of the Strongest Sword God, Shura's Wrath, and MMORPG Rebirth of the Legendary Guardian. I can't guarantee the quality of these novels because I read them so long ago, but they're pretty much all I can remember at the moment. Regardless, if you found anything I've mentioned interesting, be sure to leave a like, and if you have any recommendations for me, for anybody else watching, I highly recommend you leave a comment, because we would love to have new stuff to read. With that, I'll see y'all next time.